All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to At Home with Paul Riley, the best women's professional soccer coach in the world, in my opinion. The big news of the day, the 2020 NWSL Challenge Cup draw was presented. So now we know what's going to happen in Utah. And of course, the North Carolina Courage have been back out on the practice field. I want to thank all of the great corporate partners for the North Carolina Courage for bringing us another edition of At Home with. Can't think of a better person to spend time with than the talented head coach of the North Carolina Courage, as we are delighted to be at home with Paul Riley, your reigning NWSL champion, back-to-back years, the double. Paul, great to be with you, sir. Hope you're doing okay.
Well, good, Dean. How you doing? It's great to see you again.
Yeah, you already said before we came on the air, the girls are buzzing already, right? Practice is going great for a couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, we really met for the first time on Saturday. They've been in individual groups for a long time, and we had groups of 8 last week. But it was the first time that they all, sat around stretching and activated, and it was like, wow, family back together. You could put some pasta and some fish down there, and everybody could get on board. But that was just amazing, and then to see them play full field, and when they haven't played in 7 months together, was unbelievable. The talent level and the energy level, and it was really stupendous day. I mean, I went home buzzing on Saturday after seeing them practice, and again today, it's obviously quite hot here, but they were absolutely fantastic. And yeah, we're looking forward to Utah now. Now it's real. We got a draw now, so now it's real. So I feel like there's a lot of hope in the group, and there's a lot of things adversely going on in the world right now. And I think the team feels like this is a great opportunity for faces and go to Utah and do well.
That's so well said, Paul. This is unprecedented times in so many ways, not just the pandemic, but the unrest that the country is dealing with. Before we kind of reflect, and then we're going to break down every game as part of your draw and then let you go in about 30 minutes, Paul. Just kind of give us your state and what you've been doing to get through what has been a tough time. Where were you spending your time, Paul? What were you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in Raleigh quite a bit. Obviously preparing the team, and during the pandemic, we were sending videos to the players and giving them field sessions to do as individuals and then as groups of 2, which was basically housemates. So obviously there's no book to this one. We're going off the cuff with this one. So for the next pandemic, I'll be quite organized, I think, but let's hope I don't have to do that again. But the players have taken it all in stride. In all fairness, they've been isolated for best on 2.5 months now, and they know their roommates in and out. I can tell you that. And they've been practicing together. And it's one thing I think that we've noticed is that you can practice with your roommate all you want, but until you get a feel with a group and the pressure comes from all sides and the speed of the practice, and you're forced to do so many different things and receive the ball so many different ways. I feel like when you're training in a 2 or on your own, it's almost a perfect practice, right? The ball comes perfectly. Everybody does it right. And it doesn't have as much bite to it. And all of a sudden, everybody's together, and there's tremendous bite in the practices, and there's so much juice to the practice. And they're so excited to be around. It's just so different. But I've learned a lot in the off season. We've done a lot of reading, obviously. We're going to change formation for the new season. Now our window's a bit smaller than we expected. It's only a 4-week window to go to Utah. And so changing formation's a bit trickier, but we're certainly going to be a bit more adaptable, I think, in our formation. So that's the plan as we go forward. Obviously, we love our box in our 4-4-2, but we will be more adaptable, I think. And, you have 7 games in a month if you get to the 7th game, and that's our goal, obviously. So, we have to be a bit more adaptable. For the first time ever, people are going to see us live, right? So these coaches are going to get to see us live consistently every 4 days, every 7 days. And it makes a difference when you watch people live than when you watch on the screen and at home. So I feel like the scouting will be a lot deeper and a lot better for all the clubs, and our staff are going to have to do their job really well scouting wise. But the players, prepared themselves really well. I think the number one thing for me was, what was the preparation going to be like when we hit the floor last week? And when we hit the floor in groups of 8, I was totally taken aback. The fitness levels were high. And I feel like now it makes our job easy over the next month, when we can just prepare a team as a group, as opposed to going back and trying to get teams fit and trying to work on sprints and more, just different types of fitness stuff. We don't have to do it. And I feel like we're in a much better position than we've been in past years. And I think that's the group being together, understand what it takes to be the best or want to be the best. And so you want to stay at the top, and it's harder to stay at the top than it is to get to the top. And I think they all understand that they're going to have to do more, and they've done more in the off season. They've done more during the pandemic, and I think they've learned a lot more. They've been educating themselves and watching past games and watching pro games, from England and other places that have been shown again. I think it's a great opportunity to see things like that, which maybe they've never seen before. So, yeah, and to bring them back the last couple of days have been fabulous for me. So I'm excited, and the staff too. We're doing a group, ball work today for the first time with 26 players. I've been doing it with 8. It's a lot easier with 8 than it is with 26, and keeping them mobile and moving and keeping the intensity. But they were fabulous today, just fabulous.
That's awesome. We're going to see a little practice video in a moment, and we're going to roll to video in a moment. But before I ask Jorge to do that, just a quick comment, Paul, because one thing that we can't forget is the fans that are watching. I understand this webcast is loaded up with the great fans of the Courage. They're so excited. Obviously, some of them will probably even, obviously will be watching while you're in Utah. Before we reflect back on another double last year, just talk about how great the fans have been here in North Carolina.
I think that's the biggest heartbreak of the whole thing with the pandemic for me is the fans, and the inability not to play at home, and not for them not to see them, and maybe not the whole year. We'll have to see what happens after July, but the inability to see the team play and feel that sense of togetherness and that family, and I feel like it's a massive thing when you have a club like this, and we've been through a lot the last 3 years since we came down here. This will be our 4th year in Carolina, and the fans have been amazing to us, on the street corners. And I live in North Hills. I see people all the time that talk about the team and know the players of the team. And my favorite restaurants, they know the players, and it's such an amazing experience when they know your players inside where you live and the restaurants you go to and the places you hang out. And I think that's the biggest heartbreak for me, that the kids and the families don't get a chance this summer to witness what we can play like, and without it being on TV. But you never know. There might be some stuff in August and September. We're really hoping, to be honest with you. But that's what the players talk about a lot too, is that type of thing, that the fans can't enjoy them. And, we have a uniform veiling going to go on very soon. We have the championship rings that need to be given out. There's been so much that have happened since we've been in Carolina. And, I want the fans to be there when we get the championship rings. I mean, there was such a massive part. I mean, I would say in my whole career, how often do you get to win a championship at home? It's very, very rare. And to have both the semi-final and the final at home, and you just never know what's going to happen, right? It's a knockout. You could lose 4-0. You could win 4-0. And I think the fans got us to the semi-final. They grinded us out against Seattle. And then obviously the final was a really good performance. But yeah, there's nothing like a final at home. It happened very, very rarely in your life, and you got to take full advantage of it, because it probably won't happen again in my career. It might happen for a few of the players, but not in my career, that's for sure.
Well, with that as the setup, let's take a look back at last year's championship game. Paul, you see the video, I think, as you're breaking it down. There's the getting ready for the game as well. Just take us back to last year and winning yet another title, Coach.
Well, I think the main thing for us is that we played a lot of cup ties the last 4 years, with the ICC and with the finals and semi-finals. It's 14 games that we played when they've been just cup ties with everything on the line. And I think that makes the players better. That pressure is a privilege motto that I talk about all the time. Is something that the players have accept the fact that without this pressure, they can't get better. And let's be fair, a semi-final and a final at home is the biggest amount of pressure you can get in front of your home base, with everybody wanting you to win, expecting to win. And so, but that's what makes you better players. And I feel like for us, the final was just another game. I got to give the players the credit. They played the game like it was just another game. There was 10 people watching, and we were just going to go out and play in a bathtub or in a supermarket, and that's how they played. And got to give them a lot of credit. They were good on the day. That was our best performance of the year, probably on the day, and it was a good day for it. But I think when you look at the other side of it, Chicago, it was difficult for them. They never played in a final. They never have that cup tie all the time atmosphere that we're kind of used to, and I think that final will be great for Chicago down around. I think they'll learn a lot from like we did when we were, first started together, when we were back at Western New York. We learned to win, and we learned to compete in these type of events. And there's a lot of pressure in these events. And we have a lot of World Cup type players and Olympic players. And now the group is mostly 27, 28. They've developed together and played a lot of these big games. And, we scored goals in the final at good times. You can see them on the video. We scored some great goals. Dabina got us on the target early. Jess scored a great goal backdoor. Crystal was a typical Crystal goal inside the penalty box. You know, I guess every coach, you go into halftime, what's the first thing you say? It's 0-0, blah, blah, blah. But I was different when I went. I said, listen, this is 3-0. Let's go after them. This is not this. Let's just go after them. Let's play the way we're playing. Keep the fans in the game. Don't let this game drift away into a boring game. Keep it entertaining. Keep the fans with us the whole way. And that's how we approached the second half. We didn't approach, let's hold on to a 3-0 lead and then go out. But I think you'll notice from our team, the expectation is that we're not going to win and that we're going to have to work and that we are the underdog. And people laugh that mentality, but that's just the way it is here. You know, that hard work that got us here. You're not going to tell, you know, O'Sullivan not to work hard and not to put everything into every practice. That's just the way she's wired. And, you know, the expectation is that everybody would follow that. And everybody, if you want to win again, that's what you got to do. And my big thing now is you change things while you're on top. You don't change when you're trying to get on top. You change things while you're on top. And we spend a lot of time in the off season, I think, thinking about the team and being more adaptable formation wise and making sure that we don't get complacent, that the team is hungry. And, you know, a hungry dog is better than a dog that's been fed. My dogs get fed way too much. My two fat big bulldogs, they get fed way too much. But you want to starve the dogs if you want them to go out and bite, you know, and that's the way we are, and that's the way we'll always be. And the hunger has been there the last few days, and I know that they're excited to get back to be able to compete. I mean, the professionals, right? That experience of competing is the number one thing. You can't get better without that challenge of competing. All these teams have got better in the league, and Chicago's got something, you know, because we beat them last year and we beat them in the semi-final a couple of years before. So that's a big rivalry. The Portland rivalry is massive now to us too. And this is great for women's sports, right? We're the first big sport to get going this summer. There's huge rivalries, and the final will always be remembered because we played at home. But you know what? We've not mentioned it since we got back. We've not talked about it. For us now, it's a new season. And whether it's a cup competition or whether it's a World Cup tourney or whether it's a one-off, man, they want to play. And I don't care if we were playing in a bathtub. We want to get on with it.
Well, you mentioned get on with it. By the way, before we show the practice video, kudos to the folks that put together that amazing footage. What a great recap. And it reminded me the amazing crowd as well. You already referenced the fans, so we don't need to do that again. But that was a great video recap. We actually caught you guys on Saturday out there and filmed some of it. We're going to roll that now. So as you said, from the opening whistle here at practice, they look like they're ready to go, Paul. And I think it was important, as you said, they came in fit and ready to go, right?
Well, I think as you look at the video, the white team, right, which was the second team against the first team, as we had it on Saturday. It won't be maybe in 3 weeks from now, but as on Saturday, that was the first against the second team. That second team was fantastic. I mean, Carrie Recaro was unbelievably good. Mary Speck was unbelievably good. Laura Miliolai was unbelievably good. Kaylee Kitts was unbelievable. And when they play really well, it makes it difficult inside that game. And, you know, I think that's the best thing that we have is the depth that we have. And we've had Ali Watt to that depth, and Mackenzie Meehan's better than she was last year. And I think when you do all those things, you know, they have to be on their toes. They realize that they've got to play well. And that's what the most impressive thing about Saturday for me was, that the second team was so good on Saturday, made it so difficult for the first team. And there was definitely times in that game that you could see some tremendous rhythm for the first team. And then there were times when, wow, the other team's good. And maybe we got to work a little bit defensively, a little bit work on defensive transition. And that ability to force our team to defend and force our team to do things that maybe we don't always do in games was really good for us. And again, I'll go back to the final. You know, when we came out for that warm-up, the fans got hold of us and propelled us forward to the final. When you're preparing like this on Saturday with nobody watching practice, that's really when you get true players, right? There's nobody cheering them on. There's nobody behind, and there was tremendous atmosphere at the final. But on Saturday, it was just about us, and it's like the time that you have to play in the desert to prepare for the lights and those bright lights of Utah that we're gonna find in a couple of weeks from now. And it was just the team, the telepathic almost these days. And Sullivan and Sam knew us were holding the midfield together. You know, the fullbacks were flying down the flanks, and the twin towers in the back were fabulous. And I was honestly, I was ecstatic at the end of it. I said to the coaching staff, wow, you know, I thought we would be a long way off, but I feel like we're a little bit closer after Saturday. And, you know, I spoke to a couple of the players after via text, and they said, wow, it just gives you that lift, like, wow, we still can play together. and we still work so hard together, and we can still press together so hard, and all those little pieces that maybe you think you forgot. And we talked about a lot because we had 3 20-minute games. We talked about after each 20, and they were like, oh yeah, it's just like a memory bank, and it just ticks that memory bank. And yeah, it was super. It really was.
Well, as you said, it's all building up toward the 2020 NWSL Challenge Cup, which will be presented by P&G and Secret. The championship game on July 26th, where you hope to be, presented by Budweiser. When the officials for the league and the officials for the Courage came to you with this concept of bringing all the teams to Utah, Paul, what was your reaction? And then we'll get into each of the games.
Well, I think you saw my reaction by burning the boats. It's like, we're going to Utah with everything we got. You don't take a gun to a gunfight. You take everything you've got. And we're going to go with everything we've got. Full arsenal of players, 25 roster, and give it the best shot we can. And I think that was the most important part for me, that everybody wanted to do it. Everybody was on board, and they have been. The players are looking forward to it. And my immediate reaction was, let's do it, of course. I mean, that's like, Paul, do you want to do the ICC this year? Yes. Do you want to do this? Yes. I just want to play and compete, and because I know that this generation, this 26, 27-year-old, which is most of our players, they can't miss out a whole year. I think it'd be devastating for them in terms of their careers and their development and their progression to miss a full year. So now there's something there, and I'm hoping, honestly, Dean, that we can do this every year. Maybe not in this format, but we can have a cup competition 1 month a year, and that we can elongate the season to a 9-month season. And that 1 month in July, that we could play a cup competition. And whether we bring Mexican teams in, have 16 teams in it, or whether we just do who we have in the league. But we need to play cup competitions. The American players need to feel this all the time, every year. Not just the teams that make the playoffs, but every single American player that comes out of college needs to feel that this is a cup time, and you got to play your best. It's not just another game. It's not just, because in youth soccer, I feel like that's a lot of what happens. It's just another game. Whatever, it's just another game, just another game. Here, it's a cup tie. And I think I've been brought and bred up on cup ties in England, and I love cup ties. Anybody can win in a cup tie, right? So you have to play at your best. And for those players to understand that Sam Hughes needs to be at her best every game in a cup tie. She can't have a day off. And that goes for the team, right? They've got to be at their best now. And that's what I was trying to get across to them. This is what a great format for the players. I think the league have done a tremendous job doing this. We've got sponsors, which is tremendous. All the clubs on board. And it seems like all the unions are on board, the players union. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really special time. We're the first league to go live and go on TV and stuff, and compete with each other. But I want to see this every year. I really think we could make this special and bring 16 teams in and have a round robin, then have a knockout after that, and make a cup competition just a special thing in the middle of the season. Maybe it's in 2 locations and we go to 1, but I think it's an idea that we've got to keep this now that we've got it. And maybe sometimes you look at the pandemic and what it's caused and you think to yourself, wow, but maybe it's given us something that we would never have tried. And now maybe we could keep this, embrace it, and make it part of our season. And now the fans get to see the players, 32 games in tennis instead of 24 or 26 games, and there will be expansion next year, which is exciting for the league too. So it's an exciting time in women's soccer, and we're about to get the whole world started with soccer, with women's soccer. A lot of the leagues were cancelled in Europe, and we're about to get everybody started. And what better feeling, I think, for the whole group.
So well said, Paul. You set it up perfectly. Of course, today on CBS, they released the draw, and now you know who you're playing. I want to thank Jorge Acuna, the VP of Broadcasting. He's actually got video of your 4 opening matches. We'll start with Portland. You already said it. Chicago and Portland, arguably 2 of the biggest rivals of your team. Break down that matchup against Portland to open things up.
Yeah, I mean, a huge rivalry, and obviously they said in the offseason that big thing was to try and catch us up, and our big thing is to not be caught up, and it's a new season for us. It's a new progression, and our core values remain the same, but we want to get better. And so the better Portland gets, the better opportunities for us to get better. So I'm hoping Portland is better than last year. I hope they give us one hell of a game on that first game. And listen, they're well organized. They got a great coach. They've got a great fan base. And it's a great game for CBS, isn't it? Let's be fair. I don't know if it is the CBS game, but that would be a hell of an opener to put on the box and get everybody to watch. It's 2 top teams. There's a little bit of conflict there, a little bit of a revolutionary style between the teams. And I wouldn't say dislike between the clubs, but there's a lot of good revolutionary stuff between us, that we want to play against each other, we want to compete against each other, and I think it's going to be a fabulous game. And they want to beat us. They brought new players in. Becky Sauergren's now in the back. They got the general in the back, who has been the best defender in the world for 10 years for me. And I think that will help them. That they've got a new forward line too, Sophie Schmidt in the forward line, and they've lost a couple of very good players, obviously too. But it's a little bit of rebuilding for them, and assuming that all their players are coming, all ours are going. Like I said, we're burning the boats. The whole team's coming. I don't know if every other team's like that, and hopefully, I would say to all our players, we want the best team, best Portland that can put out the best Houston team, the best Utah team, and the best Orlando team, because we can't get better without that. So please put out your best team and let's get at it and play Portland in the first game. I don't think you could get a better opener, to be honest with you. They're a good side.
Indeed. Great way to break down that first game. You already said the other games. So we have video of Houston. Let's talk about what Houston brings. I thought they really showed a lot of improvement last year, Paul.
I think James has done a good job. The culture change is big, as you know here. Culture is a hugely important part of what we do. And I think James has changed the culture. He's got a grip of the team. He's made some big moves. He let go of some big players, Huerta and Amber Brooks, who I've coached. Amber was a very good player, very, very good player. And sometimes players just need fresh surroundings, to hit their best and peak form. And I think Amber will do really well in a new home. But Sophia Huerta, but he's brought in players, and they're going to be good, and they're going to be really good. And Daly's a handful. She always causes problems against us, and difficult to mark, difficult to contain. And she'll be on a full England team playing day in, day out. I think she's been called up quite a bit, but she's a right handful for us. And obviously the Mewis sister, the other part of the Mewis twins or sisters, she's a player too, a lefty, got great personality on the field, and she's tough too. She beats players, she scores goals, she's dynamic as a player, match winner for them. And I think they're going to be tricky. I do think they're going to be tricky. I feel they can feel a culture change too. And I think anytime you get that feeling as a group, you're gaining 10, 15%, maybe more to the group. And I feel like that was a massive part for us when we went to Western New York, was just changing that culture, or just improving the culture a little bit. And I think he's done that. And they're without question a danger. No question about it.
I think Orlando might be the one team where none of us know exactly what to expect. They obviously have nowhere to go but up, as we'll see video here of Orlando. Talk about that matchup. That'll be your third matchup, Paul.
Yeah, it's hard to figure out who we're going to play. He has brought a couple of foreign players in, obviously, and they're good players. I know them. They're very good players, so they'll help. I mean, I think, fixing the back line was a number one priority for Mark in the offseason, which he's done. I think that's the priority. Ship less goals in, keep yourselves in games, and maybe they'll be more of a transition team than they were. I think again, Mark came in and I think was under. It's very difficult. Foreign coaches come in to know the league, and they come in thinking they're just going to come in here and it's going to be easy. But I think Mark learned a great lesson. I think he's a fabulous coach. He'll get this team ready now, and I think the great thing he did was fix the major part of the team that needed fixing. That was the back line, and he's fixed it. And so I think they're going to be a lot stiffer competition, a lot harder to break down. And let's be fair, they got some weapons if they're at full strength. And I don't know if they'll be at full strength, but if they are, they're going to be dangerous up front, and they're certainly dangerous in transition. And we got to watch them for sure in that way. But they're a completely different way they play from Portland. So I think it's great for us to play a team that will play in transition, and a team that can play possession, and players like Haran and Tobin. So it's a good balance to be able to play these type of team. And James has got a younger team with a great culture in it. So yeah, I think there's great balance in the groups. But Orlando's going to be tricky again, and they haven't lost any games. Remember, they're coming in 0-0, just the same as we're coming in 0-0. So there's a lot of hope, and I like that. We're going to get the best Orlando that we could possibly get, and that's good for us, I think.
And then the final game.
but they have a very good side, and home field advantage, no question, that's going to play major role. Maybe not so much in the early games, but I think as you get into the bigger games, the quarterfinals, the semifinals, I think Utah is going to be a major presence in this tournament. And I want to thank the Utah owner for what he's done. He's made this possible. I mean, the guy's done an awful lot for the sport already, but to do what he's done is amazing. And I wish him all the best. And hopefully they finish second place and they have a great tournament and, make their fans happy. And there's some great games, but I like Utah. I like the way they play. I think they got some really attacking match winner type players. And, I coach Vero, and Vero's a match winner, a super player, super talented, and she's going to love this knockout stage. She played in the Champions League, so I think she's going to really embrace this. And yeah, I think they're going to be tricky, man, being at home and living in their own bed. And, we're going to be away for a month, and it's going to take its toll. The World Cup takes its toll on the players, just like I think this will take its toll eventually on the players. So yeah, what a great balanced schedule, and hopefully we can qualify to the quarterfinals and get going from there. But yeah, we got some good teams, and I'm sure our players are looking forward to playing against them and competing against them.
So great to be at home with Paul Riley, the top man for your reigning back-to-back NWSL champion, North Carolina Courage, as we're talking about the Utah 2020 NWSL Challenge Cup. Paul, I like that you said right away that you hope to play 7 games. That's the goal. If you do get out of this in good shape, obviously you'll play on either July 19 or 20. Then the semifinals will be July 24, and the final will be July 27. And hopefully you're still there, Paul. But obviously that's 3 big games in a short time span. You've got to be able to manage all of that too, right? Oh, we lost him. Okay. Well, even though we lost him, I thought he was phenomenal breaking down all those games. I will say that just reminding everybody that once they go through that group stage, 8 of the 9 teams will advance. They will seed 1 versus 8, 4 versus 5, 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6. The semifinals will be reseeded on July 24th, and the final will be July 27th. How cool is it to spend any time with Paul Riley? I felt like mission accomplished. I want to thank Jorge Acuna for being with us at well. And we're going to – that's Jorge Acuna talking in my ear just to see if he joins back on. If he doesn't, it is worth mentioning again that the North Carolina Courage will kick things off on June 27th against Portland. They will play the Houston Dash. They'll play Orlando, and they'll play the Royals. Really enjoyed Jorge seeing that video. And then, of course, also going down memory lane, seeing that incredible championship victory from a year ago. The North Carolina Courage, back-to-back doubles. Of course, 2 years ago, they lost just that one single game. They won the ICC. Last year, they won the double and made it to the ICC final. Of course, 3 years ago, they won the Shield and just lost. And the year before that, coming over from Western New York Flash, they won the NWSL championship, arguably the most dynastic team out there. As once again, you see the video of the championship recap. Incredible as they were getting ready right there at Wake Met Soccer Park in Cary. Appreciated Paul Riley's salute to the great fans of the North Carolina Courage. They were loud and proud during that championship. And here he is. Paul is back to wrap it up. Paul, thanks for no problem, Paul. That's certainly, I really appreciate you coming back as we wrap it up, because the last question we had is just kind of managing, as you know, 8 of the 9 get through, Paul, and then the quarterfinals are either July 19 or 20. The semifinals are July 24th, and the finals July 27. So you've got to manage that, right? Those 3 games in a short time.
Yeah, I think that's another thing that I think all the coaching staffs throughout the teams are looking forward to, is managing that. We never have to do that. So I'm actually excited about that, because I feel we have good depth in the squad. When I see the Carrie Vaqueros and Laura Milliolais and the Ryan Williamses come back in such good shape and raring to go, I think it's good for us, because we can use other players in our lineup. There's no question about that. And the question is for the other teams, so they need, do they have the depth to make the changes? And I think we've been able to have depth over the years. When we came to Carolina, we had no depth. I'm going to be honest with you. It's kind of over the years we've been able to add, and obviously with the addition of a Haley Mace to the lineup and an Ali Watt to the lineup, we've added more depth that we maybe didn't have. We lost Heather O'Reilly, McCall Saboni, obviously 2 classic players for us. Kristen Hamilton's still a little bit banged up. Hopefully we'll get her right. We've lost, obviously, Merritt Mathias too. to injury. So we're a little bit, we've lost a couple, but we've added quite a few good pieces to us. And it's hard to tell because we don't know from the other teams that everybody's going to go and who's going to go. All I know is what we're going to go. Obviously it's a journey for us, and the destination's Utah. There's a lot of good players there. I think the most important is the 3 weeks of training, the preparation, the training, and it's hard that too, Dean. I got to be honest with you. That's never mind the games. Is the preparation of training, because we're going into 7 games. It's not like we're going into one game at the beginning of the season, followed by another one a week later, followed by another one a week later. We're going in head first, and if you fall up a rope head first, what happens? But I think you got to be brave. You got to take chances, and I think the players have prepared really well. So now we can spend a lot of time preparing the team and making sure, because at the end of the day, the health of the players is the most important part. Sam Ewers, Crystal Dunn, Mary Speck, Jaylene Hinkle. I don't care who you are in our squad. The health of the players is the most important part. And the NWSL, from a medical sense, have done a lot of things to make sure this thing goes as smooth as possible. But then it's up to our staff and the coaching staff and the technical staff and our medical staff to make sure that the players are ready and that they get the right rest and that we do the right thing for all the players. And I can assure you from our end, we'll be doing that because that's the most important part of it. And listen, if we win, we win. If we don't, we don't. The most important part is competing. It's professional sports, so anything can happen in a knockout. But we're going to compete, and we'll be firing on all cylinders and giving it our best shot. I can promise you that.
At Home with Paul Riley. Really appreciate you tapping back in, Paul. Just 2 more questions, we'll let you go. And I know you roll your eyes at me when I call you the best women's pro coach in the world, but I think this is the best women's pro team in the world. And as you've built this program, you have seen the emergence and growth of personalities on the field and off. We've been doing these at Home with now, Paul, the last couple of weeks, and one of them early on was Denise O'Sullivan. And seeing her growth on the field and off, and her willingness to get out of her comfort zone and become more visible and do more with the back-to-back MVPs. I really like that, Paul, because here's somebody that was cut from Houston. You saw something in her, and now she is saying, look, I'm going to take it all on. I want to do more with what Paul's given me. She was so grateful to you. When you see something like that happen, that's got to be refreshing.
Well, she's the most valuable player in the league for any team, in my opinion. You can't play without Sully. You cannot play. I mean, she's 97-pound wet, 5'1". So for all those young players out there who are small and skinny, Sully's small and skinny still, but man, what a footballer she is. What a mind for the game. And what I've noticed about her now is she's a 24/7 professional. I think sometimes, when they're younger, they train for an hour and a half, and in the other 22 and a half hours, what are they doing? She's a 24/7 professional, and she has turned into an amazing player. And I think if you ask all our players who they want to play with in the 7v7 or the 5v5, they'll say, I want Sully on my team, I mean, just one instance from the other day of training from the full field game, and she's playing, and she's just, she's shepherding a player. She shepherds him for a good 30 yards. Before in the end, the other person gets tired and just gives the ball away. I mean, it's just brilliant play, brilliant defensive play. And she's better defensively than when she got here. She's quicker than when she got here. She's got a better engine than when she got here. She's got better vision. She's got better range of passing. She's better in the air. She scores more goals. Well, hopefully she scores more goals. But she gets more assists, more second assists. She switches the point. She wants the ball. I've never seen a player turn with a back to the play so good as a game that she probably had, but now she's just completely evolved into a different player. And you can ask, Power at Ireland, what a great player she is. Vera loves her, and she's the best Irish player now by far. And she's one of the best midfielders in the world. I'm telling you, she's such an important catalyst for our team. We can't play without her, and she's well loved off the field too. Great personality, and I make fun of her accent all the time, as you probably know. And but as I always say, she says, "Oh, the ball hit me thigh," and I go, "Your thigh, or your thigh, or your thigh? Which one is it, Sully?" But she's a great personality. I love her to death, and I've become a B man. She just wanted an opportunity, and I was lucky to be able to give her that opportunity. But she took it, hook, line, and sinker. And she was going to Germany. When I made the phone call, she was going to Germany to play, and I'm just glad she gave us the opportunity because there was something there. I saw her come on a sub for Houston against us twice, and I felt she could play for us. She's just a little bit different from a lot of other players, and I think she's been big for for Sam Ewis. I think she's been big in Sam Ewis's development from a box to box to midfielder. And I think there's a lot of coaches like Jill Ellis that would agree with that. That Sam's become a better player, and Flacco will agree with that because of players like Sullivan and Dabinia, and the foreign players add and help the American players. And Sullivan's done that, no question about it.
As we wrap it up, I'm glad you mentioned Dabinia because there's two more players, and we could talk about every player, and you and I, Paul, will go crazy about every one of them because they're all uniquely talented and uniquely part of why you're so successful. But Dabinia's growth, and I got to give Denise O'Sullivan credit because she talked about her growth as a defender. You just talked about Denise's growth as a defender, but Dabinia's two-way ability, and then also Carrie Recaro could probably start on 7 or 8 of the other teams, but wants to be here for a reason. I mean, that kind of mentality, that doesn't just grow on trees. That's fantastic.
Yeah, the mentality is amazing. And I think that if you want a mentality, you look at Brazilian players, and I've coached quite a few over the years and stuff, and they say they don't have this mentality or that mentality, but they do. They really do. The question is, who's going to be accountable? Are they going to be accountable to the team? And, Dabina's accountable to Sam Ewis and Crystal Dunn and Carrie Recaro and Sully and stuff like that. And I think that makes a massive difference to her. And I feel like that she's so good on the ball, Dabinia, that she makes up for a lot of different things. But defensively, let me tell you, 3 years ago, she wouldn't have chased a bulldog down the street. Now, she'd chase a horse down the street, man. She is unbelievable. And I've got to give her credit. Hats off to her. Her English is so much better. She listens to everything. She wants a seat at the table. And you get a seat at the table by working hard, and she works her socks off, and that's why she's got a seat at the table. And I love Dabina. Carrie Recaro is a juggernaut. She's feisty and nasty, and she's got great technique too. And Carrie's been great for us, and she played for me as a young lady, and to see her finally really being a catalyst for the team, I can't wait to see her. She could play in any team in any lineup, and she can play in our lineup too, and she'll be in our lineup too, somewhere.
Well, Paul, as we wrap this up, breaking down the Utah 2020 Challenge Cup presented by P&G and Secret, the championship game presented by Budweiser, which, of course, we hope to see you there in that championship game. Jorge Acuna is putting together a busy sort of pseudo broadcast schedule where we'll be touching base with you guys out in Utah. We'll be interviewing you hopefully weekly. We'll be interviewing the players, and that'll be key because that'll allow the fans to be able to sort of touch and feel you guys, even though you're not right here. I think that'll be a lot of fun for all the fans. So as we wrap up, Paul, your final message for your fans, knowing that you're going to be heading to Utah in a few weeks.
Listen, I can't imagine a whole month of soccer. It's on every night almost. It's almost like the Premiership when it's going to start in mid-June when Liverpool finally win the league after 30 years. Just want to put that in. But that month will be unbelievable, man. The fans are going to be able to see games every night and to see their favorite players, and not just the best players in the world, but the Carrie Recaros of the world that are here, that aren't on the national team. That they live for this league, and they're such great players. You want that player, Kristen Hamilton and these type players, man. That's what make the league for me. And the fans are going to get to see these type of players live. They're going to get to see them on TV. And the games are going to be very, very competitive. So I would say to everyone, thanks to everyone who put this together. Please, fans, support this. Thanks to Budweiser, Verizon, Secret, and everyone and NWSL for doing this, because this is fabulous. And, we're excited to get on that plane and get to Utah, burn the boats. Let's get on with it. And let's see some great football. And let's be the first sport to get going in America. What more do you want, Ryan? What more do you want?
What more do you want? How about the North Carolina Courage? They take on Portland on June 27th. They've got Houston on July 1st, Orlando on July 5th, and Utah on July 12th. The quarterfinals rather will be either July 19 or 20. The semis, Coach Riley, will be July 24, and the championship will be July 27. Great to be at home with. Great to get the draw for this incredible 2020 NWSL Challenge Cup. Paul, thanks for your time and your extended time. Great to see you. You look great. You look match fit too, by the way. Good luck to you and your team, and congratulations on all your success.
Thanks, Dean. Great to see you. Thanks, fans, for coming in, and good luck with everything, and everybody stay safe. Love everybody. All the best.
Can't say it better than that. I want to thank again all the great corporate partners of the North Carolina Courage at home with Paul Riley. Good luck in the 2020 NWSL Challenge Cup. See you later, everybody. How about the North Carolina Courage?